Toothpaste. As far as toothpaste.
Oh, dear Jesus. There's a lot of couples out there going, so true. So true.
When we started dating,
so
he was
true.
the sweetest person ever.
You know, I can testify to that. We all can testify to that, man. If you're in a relationship, we all can testify to that. It's like, Kelly, when we moved into the house that we moved in, we love it. We moved into it, and it's hot water boiler heating system, so it doesn't have any duct work. It's got radiators, and we got to get an air conditioning, and I thought, oh, it'll be okay. You know, I don't want to spend money on air conditioning. I finally saved up, got an air conditioning. This is our first summer with air conditioning, okay? We hit the sea. You know what I'm talking about. We hit the last 3 days, right? Got this. I spent a lot of money on this air conditioning, man. You got to hear me. It took a lot of pain. This took pain. Got the air conditioner. Turned it on. 72 degrees. This is what we want. I go to bed. Kelly's like an Eskimo. She's got 2 sweaters on. She knows this. And she's like, and I'm thinking, what did I get the air conditioner for? She's got socks on, man. It is hot. This is like, thank you for putting up with that video. I know I'll pay later, but thank you. I'm just like, are you serious? That's how hard relationships take work. They do. Marriage takes work. Kelly reminds me, if you want to be married, you have to work at it. Some of us work a little harder than others. I think we know who does this in the relationship with Kelly and I, okay? I think we know. We know it's Kelly. Works a little harder, okay? But it takes a lot of work. And we have to realize that right from the get-go. We have to get that. You know, when we get into relationships, especially husband and wife, we have to start saying, and I do this with a lot of young people when I'm doing the premarital for marriage, it's like all of a sudden we have to realize, I'm not going to win. I'm not going to get my way. I am second. Because before that, it was all about us, right? We made the decision, I am second. Back in 1991, Kelly and I were married, and I wanted to start graduate school, and we decided, we looked at a couple of different seminaries, one in Wilmore, Kentucky, Asbury Seminary, one in Roseville, Minnesota, Bethel Seminary. Kelly grew her whole life up in Indianapolis, Indiana. She went to college in Southern Illinois. She had no idea what Minnesota winters were like, but she loved me. I am second. So she said, we will move to Minnesota. I want you to remember the year, those of you that are old enough. It was 1991. Never been in a Minnesota winter. We landed at Bethel University. We landed at Bethel Seminary in that spring into the summer. Things are great. She's like, Minnesota summers, I love this. This is good. It's not hot. Doesn't get too much humidity like Indiana. I know we have it now, but not like Indiana. We land in the month of October 1991. Yeah, anybody know what happened in October? What happened in Halloween in 1991 in Minneapolis, Minnesota? Halloween blizzard. Starts snowing. Kelly says, is it going to stop? Oh, yeah, it'll stop. Second day, you said it would stop. It'll stop. Third day, I don't believe you anymore. It's still snowing. Now, you know what happens when it starts snowing? Kelly looks outside in November, December, October, when it starts snowing. She says, great. I'm not going to see the grass until April at the earliest. But she's second. She's like, I can take the hit. Willing to move to Minnesota. She didn't know what she was getting into. But she did it. Marriages take work, and if we want to really be in relationship, we have to look at it from a view that Christ looked at it. Be subject to one another, and here's the word. Here's the word. If I want to be in a real relationship, out of real Christ love, reverence. I'm willing to love you more than I love myself. Reverence for Christ. That's a reverence from the cross, who is willing to love us and look down on us and say, Father, forgive them on the cross, forgive them on the cross, death on the cross, forgive them, death, resurrection, for they don't know what they're doing. And he said it to me. He could have just said, Father, forgive Bob because he doesn't know what he's doing. Reverence. In Matthew's gospel, to put it in perspective, Jesus looks at the disciples. This is what a relationship is all about. This is the model. Jesus looks at the disciples and he said, just as a son of man just as a son of man came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life a ransom for many. There's the idealism that begins for relationships. There's the idealism of what a Christian relationship should look like. Am I perfect? Not a chance. Do I do that? Not a chance. But sometimes I hit those moments of Holy Spirit idealism. I'm second. Do I want to get up at 3 a.m. in the morning? No. Do I want them to go to Alaska? Yes. Do I want them to have a Holy Spirit-filled experience? Yes. Do I want them to have a safe trip to the airport? Yes! It'll be okay, trust me. I will get my sleep. I will be fine. And then Paul goes in, and he starts in with these controversial images. He says, wives, be subject. Now listen up. I know what you're saying. I know you're already saying, Pastor, if you want me to be subject to that man next to me, I'm out of here. I get that. This is a misinterpreted word. Let me explain. You know, the Bible was written in Koine Greek, biblical Greek. And sometimes when you have a language, and then you have a whole other English language, and they have to take the biblical Koine Greek, and they have to find the best word to match it, they take what they can get. I'll get to subject and what it means in Koine Greek. It means, let me outdo you in love. Let me, because Paul also uses an example for the man. Let me outdo you in love. Let me love you more than you can love me. Let me love you like Christ loves you. Let me subject myself to you because I'm giving my life for you. Let me be the wife that you want me to be because I want to outdo you in love. It's not the word submissive. It's not the word to use as an abusive term where you submit to me or I'm going to beat you. If that ever gets preached, you tell whoever says that they're wrong. And you tell them loud and clear because I'm tired of it. Because there are pastors who preach this passage, wives, you've got to submit to your husband, and that's the way it is. They're wrong. It's a heresy. It's not right. Let me see if I can illustrate. You take the word lake. You know what a lake is. We're from Minnesota. You take the word lake. You say we're going from Minnesota, we're going to go out on the lake. Where do we go? We go on a lake. It's a man-made, it's not a man-made lake. It's a God-made lake, and it's a beautiful lake. It's got clear water, and it's got everything we need, doesn't it? It's a real lake. You take that same word, lake, you go down to southern Indiana. And I was told when Kelly and I were dating, her parents were going to go to a lake. I'm from Minnesota, right? I'm going to a lake. So I'm ready. I'm ready to go water ski. I'm ready to put a boat on it. We're going to go to a campground, they said, with a lake. And you're going to enjoy, this is going to be, I'm looking for a lake. I get there, it's a pond. I asked, can we put a boat? No, I can't put a boat in this lake, Bob. Well, how big is it? Well, it's kind of small. Well, can we put hey, you really just can swim in it. That's not a lake. You said it was a lake. Well, it is a lake. That's not a lake. In Minnesota, our lakes are 5 miles long. They're clear water. You put boats, you ski. That's a pond. No, it's a lake. No, it's a pond. Are you hearing me? In the English language, Paul is saying subject in love, not in abuse, not in a dictatorship, in love. But we take the word subject in the English language, what does it take? An abusive path. And it leads to stuff we don't like and should not condone. So hear me out. Look at it from a Christ perspective, not an abusive perspective. And if anybody changes that view, they're wrong. Look at it from a Christ perspective. And say, do I want to outdo him in love? Husbands, hang on, your image is coming. You're not out of the woods yet. Idealism in marriage is built on the same expression for the husbands also. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for. So Paul takes another spin and says, okay, wives, you want to outdo him in love. Husbands, you want to outdo her in love, and this is how. You give your life without even thinking. you will put your life on the line because you love her so much, your children so much, you won't even think about it. Just as Christ gave his life on the cross, you give your life. Now, I know you understand that. I know you get that. But it's two different images on outdoing each other in love. It's outdoing each other in love from a Christian perspective, not a worldly perspective that ends in death. We want to give ourselves the world level of love. That's great. That's great. We'll give ourselves a world level of love. As soon as you make me mad, I'm out of here. Because I didn't sign up for that. As soon as I realize that our marriage is going to this place geographically, and you just told me we're going to do that, I didn't sign up, I'm out of here. The grass is greener on the other side. I'm done. Christian perspective, I'm second. As long as you keep it in balance, I'm second. I'm loving you through this. When this child is born, we are going to love each other through it because we love each other from a Christ level. I am not bailing. When I come home and I have to say, they had cutbacks. The cutbacks were in my department and they eliminated it. And in 6 months, we don't have a paycheck. I'm going to love you anyway. We're going to work through it. When I come home and I say I messed up, I'm going to love you anyway. We're going to go to recovery. We're going to work through the addiction because I am second. That's a Christ-centered love. That's when husbands and wives get down in the dirt and the manure of what a relationship can cost, and we say we're going to work through it. And we're going to work through it because we outdo each other in love, not because we authoritarian rule it over. For no one ever hates husbands, his own body, but he nourishes it, tenderly cares for it, just as Christ does for the church, because we are members of the body. There it is. If I treat my own body, I want to treat my spouse the same way with even more care. As you're looking for your soulmate, you might want to make sure they have good hygiene. It was a joke. It's an image. It's an image of saying, I love you this much. And I'm willing to lay my life down for you. I have done enough funeral services where I see a relationship that's been going on for 50 years in true love, and one of the spouses dies, and I look at the spouse who's left here, and he or she looks at me with tears and says, what am I going to do now? I lost my soulmate. I don't even know how I'm going to get up in the morning. That's what love is. And so you and I were left to kind of check in. Where am I at in my relationship ability? Where am I at? And the last thing Paul says in that part of the passage, the last thing he says is, the last part of that relationship gets sealed with the physical aspect. The physical aspect is last. First, you find out who you are. Do you love? Do you love? Do you want to take a leap of faith? Because that's what marriage is. You don't know where it's going to lead. You asked Kelly when we got married at 21 years of age. She had no idea where this was going to lead. This was a complete leap of faith. And then you seal it physically, Paul says, after that. In Genesis chapter 2, all the way back, Paul goes all the way back to the first book of the Bible, to the second chapter, where God says in Genesis chapter 2, this is the reason why a man and a woman will leave their father and mother and cling to each other. This is the physical aspect. And the two become one flesh. And all of a sudden, that physical side of the relationship gets holy. Because you waited for that to be on the honeymoon. The holiness of it happens. And the two become one flesh forever. This is an amazing passage on what a real relationship should look like. Are we going to be perfect at it? Not a chance.
I am so grateful for grace from my wife because I need it every day. But it's what it should be as a striving relationship. I am second. I want to outdo you in love, and I want to put my life on the line for you because I'm not as important as you are. Now, that has to stay in balance. That is not a relationship image that should be abused. Once it crosses over to abuse, get out. And don't let anybody preach authoritarian on this passage. But it gives an idea of a Christ-centered relationship. I'm going to end with